What in the world is happening with Seattle real estate? Let's check it out because this is fascinating stuff if you like numbers. All right, and you like houses and you like real estate sales. You're looking at supply and demand, and this is the last 2 years of supply and demand for Seattle. The green is the supply, the blue is the demand. And what I think is particularly interesting about this is how demand has steadily gone up over the last 2 years. We've seen that obviously every month for the last 2 years. If you notice, supply never quite got to where last year was in the pandemic. Overall, it's been a little bit stronger if you add up each month. But what's interesting is, well, we had a brief respite in September where supply went up over demand. You can see that here, the second to last line, that there was significantly more came to market in September, people trying to get toward the end of the summer, and there was a slight respite in price going up. That's over. Demand came in, swooped in, sucked it all up, and supply is down. Now, historically, supply is going to continue to dwindle between now and next spring, frankly. So if you're looking to sell, you should get your house on market because you have very little competition, and demand, you can see, is still really strong. And we would expect that to be the case. Here is another way of looking at all of that. This is a service, and you are welcome. This is free. You hit subscribe, and you can set yourself up with alerts for any zip code, any city, any neighborhood. You can customize this. You just hit subscribe, and it's totally free to you. You don't even have to subscribe. You could just hit search any zip code. But what you're seeing here is a little synopsis of key indicators in the market, including a combination of it all, which this company, Altos, calls the Market Action Index, okay? Giving you a direction for the market. The market's heated up slightly over last month. It's gone from an 84 to an 85 in their algorithm, meaning it's a stronger seller's market, almost entirely due to the decrease in inventory, which we just saw in the last graph. Median price is at $850 in Seattle. And prices, while they have sort of stabilized, are right. You can see that here. It's a flat line in median price of new listings. It's pretty stable in the 820 range. If the inventory keeps going down, you're going to see prices come up, which if you're selling, this is a good time to sell. Now, if you're buying, you got to be really careful. You got to be, stay in there. It's got other really useful, I think, information in terms of rent, market action, price per square foot, things like that. I think it's interesting to see that 32% of houses had prices decrease, people getting greedy with their asking price. Think things aren't selling. So if you find a house that was overpriced, you can get yourself a house. You can find a house. 32% of houses had a price decrease, meaning they didn't sell right away. It's also interesting to note down here, they've got it broken out by market segments. Whoops, come on, buddy. And you can see that the higher the price, the longer it sits. So if you're shopping in the million price range, average is 21 days on market, slower to sell. So it's also, we're also beginning to see a ceiling on the prices just by basic affordability. You got questions about your scenario, questions about your situation, questions about what you should be doing. That's what I'm here for. Give me a call. Let me know. Here's what's happening in Seattle. And again, I really do recommend you subscribe and get yourself set up on your own updates on any kind of schedule, monthly, quarterly, yearly, whatever you need. These are here for you. So let me know what I can do for you. Aaron Hendon with Christine Company over at eXp Realty. Talk to you soon. Bye. What in the world's happening with Tacoma real estate? Well, check it out. I think it's pretty cool stuff. You've got supply and demand. We're going to look at two different cuts at this thing, supply and demand. So green is supply, blue is demand. And you notice over the summer, June, July, look how much more supply there was. Woohoo! Way easier to buy houses than it is now. What? Demand over inventory, right? So you're talking about harder to find a house to buy. Now, no time during the year was it easy to buy a house, okay? It's been crazy. You notice that demand is up over 2020. It's up over 2019. Supply just barely got up over 2019 levels this year. Never been easy to buy a house. Well, not never, but hasn't been easy to buy a house in Tacoma in a long time. But it's not, and it's not getting any easier. Okay, this is a very steady demand through October, which gives you this. So this is a new service that I've got where I do recommend, if you're interested, you can subscribe and get updates at whatever, length, at whatever speed you want, quarterly, monthly, yearly, weekly, probably, in zip codes or neighborhoods or cities that you're interested in. It's totally free. You can just hit subscribe here. And it's got some really great data in it, including this market action index, which is a proprietary to them algorithm of how the market's doing. And it's right now they're saying it's 90. It's about as hot as you can get for sellers. It's up over last month. Mostly it's a function of inventory being down, but that's the deal. Inventory's down. Supply is up. Supply is down. Demand is up, right? Now, what's interesting is there's actually been a decrease in the median price, counter to normal supply and demand thinking. It's not radically down. It's a $25,000 down lower, so it's not this huge drop in median price. But you got to begin to think we are hitting some kind of a ceiling for people's affordability in Tacoma, what people are willing to pay in Tacoma for their house. You've got price decreases, just slightly down, but they were headed up for the end part of the summer here. So it's a conflicting set of data. You would normally expect median price to be going up. Average days on market are going up. So it looks to me like this could be the sign of a cooling market, like you're overheated. You're at 90, don't have a lot of headroom. It wouldn't surprise me if Tacoma slowed down a little bit, meaning easier for a buyer, but you can't be 100% sure. But, it has decreased from 97 in July down to 90. It is, in fact, overall a trend of coming down a little bit in Tacoma. So huge value if you can live anywhere, right? The South Sound does present a huge opportunity for you compared to Seattle and the surrounding areas. I mean, the median price is about half. You get twice as much house for your money. Not a bad look. Then if you scroll down here, you can see this is by price segment. You've got, it's interesting, the quickest moving houses are the ones around 550 over median price. That's a little bit unusual. But if you get up over 8, you got 28 days on market. So you really can find something. If you're shopping in Seattle with that 800, you want to go down to Tacoma, you get way more house for your money. And then below median, you also you're finding people sitting. That's an interesting phenomenon too. What are up with those particular houses? Those are interesting questions to have. If you have specific questions about neighborhoods or dates or areas or your personal situation, because everyone's situation is different, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help. Let me know. So subscribe to this. You can subscribe to the YouTube updates. Let me know what you need. Aaron Hendon with Christine and Company over at eXp Realty. Talk to you soon. Bye. What in the world is happening with Bainbridge real estate? Check it out. All right, here we go. Supply and demand, last 2 years, my favorite graph. Green is supply, blue is demand. You can see over the last 2 years, a steady decrease in supply with, while it has decreased slightly in demand, it's really only a virtue of there's been so little inventory. Really, I have no doubt that if there was more supply, the demand would reach up to meet it. The demand's already reached up to go beyond the supply the last 2 months. It's incredibly easy to sell a house right now on Bainbridge for top dollar and incredibly difficult to buy one without a bidding war. This is everything you need to know about that. Is there's very little supply and relatively an enormous amount of demand. If you look at the Altos graphs, there's a couple of things I wanted to show you here. By the way, you can subscribe to these, and I recommend you do. You can punch down on the subscribe button. Get it for Bainbridge, get it for Poulsbo, get it for Bremerton, get it for Kitsap, get it wherever you want, and they'll come to your inbox at the frequency you ask for. So super cool set of data, including a proprietary algorithm that they call the Market Action Index, which is a decent way of tracking the absorption rate. And you can see that we are, pretty steady at an 87. It's been that way for a while now. Pretty hot market, as you could see in the previous supply and demand graph. Median price holding steady around 1.2. There's been price decreases are only 10% of the market. Very few things sitting on market. It's pretty steady on Bainbridge, and it's almost all a function of inventory. It's particularly, I like this graph. By the way, you can always change this graph, but I like the inventory graph because it shows you the last 12 months. Just look at where we're at as compared to inventory. This was the pandemic where there was no inventory. You were up at 70. The 90-day average was 84. The 90-day average now is 18 homes for sale. That's wacky. That's an enormous decrease in the availability of homes on Bainbridge. That's crazy. Okay. So if you're looking to sell on Bainbridge, you can't get a better time. I mean, there's only 18 homes. There's nothing to buy. Great time to sell. If you're looking to buy, you got to be fast. You got to look under your price point. You got to be ready to jump. If you have questions about your particular situation, let me know. That's what I'm here for, because everyone's situation is unique. You can't go by just this. This is directionally accurate, but not particularly useful for any single person's actions. Let me know what I can do for you. Aaron Hendon with Christine and Company over at eXp Realty. I'd love to help. Thanks. Bye. What in the world is happening with Vashon Real Estate? Well, check it out. You're looking at supply and demand for the last 2 years. Blue is the demand and the green is the supply. You can see the last 2 months on the far right have demand has exceeded its supply for 2 months running. All right, that would generally indicate an increase in price. But the problem with Vashon, the problem with forecasting Vashon is, first of all, the prices have a huge range from 600 to 2 million, 500 to 2 million. Not unusual to have that. And there's very few listings. I mean, you look at Seattle and you're in the hundreds. Here you're talking about 15, or the max was 20, right? 25 in 2020 there were at one time. So you're talking about very little data. Any single house selling changes the data enormously. So it's very difficult to get an accurate read, because someone could put on two people put on two houses, and it represents a 20% increase in inventory. So there's 12 houses for sale right now. That's a really hard to forecast kind of phenomenon. All right. But what you do want to know, what you can see overall, is that inventory overall is down over the last couple of years, meaning it's very difficult to find a house and very easy to sell a house. If you look at the Market Action Index, and I recommend you subscribe to this because it's a very interesting way to track markets. You can sign up, for free, get it sent at whatever interval you'd like, weekly, quarterly, monthly, like that. Different neighborhoods, different cities all over the Puget Sound, totally free, comes into your inbox. And it combines certain data and produces a market action index to give you a direction for the market. So you can see last month we were at 69. Yay. We're at 76 now. You can expect prices to level off if inventory doesn't pick up. Median price is down, but again, that's off of just so few houses. It was up at 2 million in July, and it's at 1 million now. Or 950 now. That's not because values are dropping on Vashon. That's because some big old house sold in July. There's just not enough data to have this kind of a chart may be meaningful to you. All right. But what you can see is directionally in the Market Action Index, directionally which way things are headed. It's harder to buy now than it was last month, which anyone in the market can tell you, which means if you're looking to sell, I don't see why in the world you would wait until the spring when more people are selling. There's more competition. That makes no sense at all. Demand is still super high for Vashon. If you're looking to sell, you're going to have an easier time selling between now and the end of the year than you would have last month. So that's where we're at now on Vashon. If you have questions about your specific set of circumstances, because there's so little inventory, because everything is so unique, because neighborhoods vary so greatly on Vashon, you really do need to take a step back and not use generalized information to make any kind of decision. Let me know what I can do for you. That's what I'm here for, here to help. Aaron Hendon with Christine and Company over at EXP. Let me know what I can do for you. Talk to you soon. Bye. Hey, what in the world is happening with Bremerton real estate? You got to check it out. It's a really interesting little scenario. First, you're looking at supply and demand over the last 2 years. Green is supply, blue is demand, as always. A couple of things about it right away that strike me are supply has been up, which is unusual for the Puget Sound. None of the other updates show supply being up like this. Okay, now it's not radically up, but there were a couple of months that went over 120, which is the first time we even got close to that in 2 years. And the demand is strong. Demand is, last 2-3 months has been oversupply. So, you've got extra supply and you've got some good solid demand. This is a pretty steady market, which is interesting when you begin to figure it and compare it to the other areas. All right. What's happening with this? This would indicate relative to the other areas in the Puget Sound, this is a slightly cooler market because there's more inventory and things are a little steadier. That pans out when you look at the Altos update. By the way, you can subscribe to this update. You can press the little subscribe button, get it at whatever intervals you want it for whatever area you want. It's totally free in your inbox anytime you want it. And you can check out different areas, which I recommend you do because you can begin to see what areas are hotter than others. For example, the Bremerton market's been cooling a little bit. It's gone down. Last month, the index was hotter than it is right now. Now, it's not radically different, but it's slower than it was, which is unusual. You've got both days on market going up. You got median days on market going up. You got number of houses with the price decrease going up. That's indicative of a cooling market. All those things are precursors to maybe we're getting to a buyer's market, which I mean, you got a long way to go, but those are 3 indicators of things cooling off somewhat. Could just be seasonal too. Not a real for sure, but if you notice, the market index has gone down from 91 to 78. It is, in fact, a fairly steady decline in pricing activity. Now, median prices are up a little bit. Median price of new listings is up. Take that with a grain of salt. You got to begin to see every house is different. If you look down here, you can see in the different segments of the market. Come on, buddy. There you go. Different segments of the market, different timings, cheaper houses going quicker, less expensive houses, let's say, going quicker. But it's not a big spread, 24 to 49, it's double, but it's not, we've seen these things be between 13 and 17 and 70. So, it depends a lot on your particular house and how you price it. I would be more careful on pricing on in Bremerton than you would be, for example, on Bainbridge, where it's super hot. You got to be a little bit more careful, a little bit more conservative. There are indications that this market is cooling to the seller, making it slightly easier to buy. It's by no means easy to buy. It's just relative to where it was early in the year, easier. If that keeps going, right? You could begin to see what else is available. All right. If you're looking to shop at Bremerton, it could potentially provides some value. All right. If you have questions about your particular situation, what you're dealing with, what questions you have, that's what I'm here for. Aaron Hendon with Christine and Company over at eXp Realty. Let me know. Let's take a look at your situation. Talk to you soon. Bye.